everybody. So happy to have you. If you were just joining the impact stage now, if you were with us in our previous session, so if you were here yesterday, we've had a slew of incredible sessions and presentations, and this one promises to be another fantastic session full of different learnings and approaches and strategies that you can take as you think about AI adoption in your organization. Can everyone hear me? Just double checking. Great, wonderful. Okay. Today, I'm so excited. If you're joining us, hopefully you know exactly what you're in for today. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, thank you, Megan. Loud and clear. That is, I go for loud at least. So glad you can all hear me. And let's go ahead and start kicking off our next session. It's called Conscious Tinkering, Improve Your AI Readiness, one prototype at a time. We're so grateful to Odin Mühlenbein for joining us today. He's an AI tinkerer and co-founder of the Ashoka AI Lab, where he develops applications that make Ashoka, the world's largest network of social entrepreneurs, more efficient and unlock entirely new capabilities for its global community. He is the founder of ChosenPath.ai, an AI-powered interactive fiction engine, and serves on the board of social entrepreneurship Netzwerk Deutschland. Previously a McKinsey consultant and the co-founder of 3 social ventures, Odin now works as an independent advisor helping organizations adopt AI responsibly and effectively. He has been featured in the World Economic Forum's AI for Impact white paper and brings a unique perspective as a mediator, game developer, and experimenter at the intersection of technology, social impact, and human connection. So we are in for a treat. I will let Odin kick it off from here, and don't forget to drop in the chat or in the Q&A tab any questions you have for Odin, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everyone. Odin, take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm a bit worried that this is the setup for an elaborate prank because as a speaker, I can't hear what the person on the stage is saying. And so I don't know how I was introduced, but let's just hope that everything went as planned. Hi, my name is Odin. I'm dialing in from Berlin now. I'm leading the Ashoka AI Lab, an internal tinkering lab at Ashoka. Ashoka is the world's largest network of social entrepreneurs. We support about 4,000 fellows in about 100 countries. But I would hope that what I'm going to show you today is applicable not just to a global NGO with about 400 people, but also to much smaller or likewise much larger organizations. This is supposed to be an encouragement for tinkerers, builders, and intrapreneurs in particular. As managers and CEOs, you can learn how you can support those people, but it is primarily targeted at the people who can just start building things now. We call our approach for adopting AI at Ashoka conscious tinkering. We will be talking about both of those terms, but let me first share what this whole approach is supposed to be an alternative or a supplement to. This is the traditional approach for adopting AI. You have a wise senior leader, ideally the CEO, who of course immediately sees the full potential of AI. The promising use cases for AI are, of course, clear and obvious to these wise leaders. Staff is, again, obviously motivated to change their behavior and use these new tools and help co-create them. Data management is amazing because otherwise playing with AI can be tricky. But since you are working in this kind of organization, obviously this is in place, and your IT infrastructure is ready and is only waiting for new AI applications to be deployed. Now, if you're working in this kind of environment, congratulations. Ignore whatever I have to say in the next 30 minutes. Do use the traditional approach. Define a sound strategy, make big investment decisions, and just build the most amazing AI tools possible and revolutionize the way that your organization is working. Now, if any of those things is not true for you, you might be looking for a different approach. And let me just tell you what 3 years ago we found at Ashoka. AI was only relevant as a sector shaped by the social entrepreneurs in our network, but not as something that we as an organization should be adopting. Nobody knows what's really needed, which tasks are like repetitive, boring, should be automatized, etc. No explicit demand for AI tools. We had good data only in one specific area, which is the fellows that we are electing, and only at one point in time. And our IT infrastructure was not exactly waiting for AI tools to be deployed, to put it mildly. Now, but it doesn't matter, right? So, but like if you follow the traditional approach and have these kinds of like conditions in your organization right now, then you find yourself in the graveyard of possibilities. So, like a lot of things might be possible, but you just can't get started. You know, like it's the CEO and the strategy is just not ready, so you can't move. And what we are presenting here is a way to still make progress, to get started. This is just like none of this really matters in the particulars, but this is kind of like maybe a nice illustration of how, with a conscious tinkering approach, you can move forward. It's not like what you would expect from a like if you hire McKinsey and ask them what to do, this is not what they will tell you. So at some point in 2022, Odin goes rogue, meaning that I pretty much ignored my old job description and started building little AI tools with teams that I happened to know from my previous job. Sometimes at some point in 2023, we already had like 7 prototypes or something. So at that point, it became a little bit like it became harder to hide. So the board learned about it, and we had to give a little presentation. And soon after, we got permission to turn this little rogue job that we created for ourselves into a dedicated AI lab with a few minimal resources to dedicate our time specifically to AI adoption. And only then, like 1.5 years later, the first ad was fully online on Ashoka's intranet. I will show you how this worked before, but like even if you have people working on this stuff, it can take a little bit of time to make stuff fully available and to spread it to colleagues and to see the first like real business value and time savings materialize. And then like we hit the 15th prototype, we got a coordinator for AI efforts. And this is of course not even showing 2025. I'll show you later where we are right now. But like the point is, this is very much a bottom-up approach of change making and entrepreneurship. So like building things, not asking for permission, seeing what adds value, and then using that momentum to also get like leadership support, goodwill, resources, etc. That is then needed a bit later. This is the conscious tinkering cycle. If you forget everything but one thing out of the session, this is probably the thing that I would encourage you to remember. This is of course not rocket science. It's not a clever idea. We stole everything that I'm going to talk about here from established methods like Agile, Kanban, continuous improvement methodologies, etc. But our cycle looks like this. So you always start with a prototype, like a concrete thing, like an application that uses AI that does something. Not a document, not a strategy, like an actual tool that performs a task. And by doing that, you have improved what we call AI readiness within the organization. We're going to talk a little bit more what that means in a second, but it includes things like your data management capabilities, your legal governance structures, etc. So you build a prototype that stretches your capabilities in one area at least a little bit, and you thereby put your organization in a better position to do more fancy, more complicated things in the future. Also, the prototype adds business value. And what that means is business value is just a fancy term for people will like you a little more. And so you will have a few more users that get benefits, tangible benefits from using AI applications. You have people who have developed something with you as the tinkerer, which means that You can now use the testimonials. There are more people who know how to build apps in your organization. You have some time savings that you can show to the board and to your management. Like basically, you're creating momentum by becoming useful to people in small ways initially. But what you can then do is you just repeat the cycle. Yeah? You build the next prototype, which is now easier because the environment in which you're operating is now more ready to do this stuff. You have a few more fans, you have a few, like more experience, you have more goodwill that you can utilize. You might even have a few more resources that you can use. And so you just, you continue. You don't wait for the big investment decision from the top. You don't wait for the best use case that is the most important thing that your organization can build. You build small things with people on the ground again and again and again until these more fancy things become possible. This is our little framework for AI readiness. I am absolutely sure that in the context of this conference, there will be much better, even like better looking frameworks for AI readiness that you can use instead. It doesn't really matter. The point is there are a few things in your organization that you must put in place to be able to use AI in a responsible and effective way. Now, this is not a yes/no kind of a thing. Like you don't have governance or you don't have it. It's more like the degree of professionalism or sophistication with which you have these things. So initially, we just build things without any governance or without any legal checks, and but that's fine because we built applications that didn't need these things. And now for the things we do now, of course, we have a legal team that knows about the EU AI Act and the GDPR compliance regulations and all kinds of things. But like you build these things over time. Yeah? Same for data. The more sophisticated your AI applications become, the more the more robust and strong the data must be that these AI applications are using. So your data management must improve. You must put policies in place. You must improve the IT side of the data management, but all in due time. Yeah, initially you might just have an Excel file and the question that the user is asking, and that's perfectly enough for your first couple of prototypes. You have AI literacy. This is a name for the skills within your staff to use AI tools confidently and responsibly. This involves like just letting people play with stuff in a safe environment, doing trainings, some certifications, depending on the level that you're aiming for. But yeah, so like skills, yeah. Then there's IT infrastructure. This is your ability to host and deploy AI applications in a safe way. Again, initially like a $5 external hosting service to host your first AI applications is absolutely fine. No need to fret out about this. But at some point, of course, once you start hosting like heaps of sensible data and you're processing stuff and you need more, things get a little bit more demanding. But that's why we have the cycle. Yeah, we build these things one prototype at a time. And the final one is the tinkering capacity. This refers to your internal ability to build new tools. This can be supplemented or initially even an alternative could be to use external providers. Ashoka does this too to some extent, but we do make sure that we also have internal genuine and explicit machine learning and AI tinkering capacity. So we can build prototypes fast with internal staff members, and we don't have to like use it's cheaper and faster and more reliable because the people that make up the Ashoka AI Lab also have like 10 and 15 years of prior Ashoka work experience respectively. And so it makes it often easier to understand what our colleagues want, to understand the ecosystem that we are building. So we highly recommend having at least like a minimum amount of internal tinkering capacity if you follow this path. So how to get started? As I said, initially in all of these 5 categories, you might not be very sophisticated yet. And so the conscious and conscious tinkering demands that you stay within your limits. So as you plan your first couple of cycles, prototype, improving AI readiness, creating business value and momentum, you have to be humble. Yeah. So of course, like choose repetitive tasks that are boring or hated by your colleagues for some other reason, because this is the kind of stuff that that generates fans and ambassadors and momentum for your efforts. But don't yet use AI tools to support critical business tasks. Like I'm not sure what this could be for you. Like maybe designing the workshops for your most important fundraising leads is not the first thing you want to do, or like sending the outreach emails automatically. Like, stay away from that stuff. Anything that's like if your first 10, if any one of your first AI tools fails suddenly and completely, nobody should care. Like that's the level of like how uncritical it should be. Nobody should be fired. There should be no lawsuits. There should be no disgruntled customers, stakeholders, team member. It just do start with things that like if things break, everybody is just laughing and having a good time, yeah? And just fixing it, and then you can continue. But like nothing should break. Similarly, if you don't yet have good legal and ethical governance, your AI literacy is not up to time, like you don't have a robust infrastructure, don't work with sensitive data immediately. This includes like it can be staff data, personal information from donors or entrepreneurs that we are supporting. It's like stay safe. Yeah, like if stuff breaks, if things leak, nobody should care. And the third limitation, only build AI applications that are used by internal users, meaning like your colleagues, within your organization, not something that is publicly available on your website, because then again, things get a little bit more complicated and demanding, which is not a problem per se, but it means that you have to have some level of sophistication in some of those AI readiness pillars, and it means that it might not be the first thing that you want to build. All right. So a few examples how this looked like at Ashoka, and like, remember that this was 3 years ago. So like yeah. So one of the first was let's say BB the board book. So Ashoka has this interesting little ritual where twice a year we create a 100-page document that we present to our global board to update them, all the members on the board, on what has been happening globally at Ashoka. Now, it's a really nice document. It's just that, you probably can't expect every of the 400 members of the team to read it completely twice a year. And so we created this little chatbot where you can ask questions to the board book, like super simple. Yeah, it's if it breaks, no critical. Let's do the check. Yeah, so it's a repetitive thing, and like not all the 100 pages are super interesting. So it fulfills the first couple of criteria. It's not critical. If it breaks, nobody minds. Yeah, you can just go back and read the PDF as you did before. There is sensitive data in here, but it's so easy to manage that it's fine, and it's only available to internal users. Now, this application can be built in like half a day. Even 3 years ago, this was possible to be built in half a day. So yeah, perfect. Or the DEI job requisitions assistant, where you upload a job like a job advert, like this job description that you're looking for, and then the tool gives you detailed technical feedback on how you can improve this document to adhere to Ashoka's internal DEI guidelines. And again, like no personal information in that ad. It's a repetitive thing. It's not critical. Like so, it's also not. It's not producing a ton of business value, but it improves your AI readiness. It makes some teams happy, and it creates momentum. And that's all we need in the beginning. Now, at some point, you have a whole portfolio of these little applications. And now and then the decision becomes, well, which of those should we really invest in? Which of those should become larger applications that add more business value? And here's the funnel that we are using. So we start on the prototyping level, and we don't really, like if a team comes to us and says, we want to build something, we don't say, oh no, actually, that's not big or interesting. Like if a team comes and if a team is willing to invest 10 to 20 hours of their time to build a tool with us, we just do it. There's no prioritization or classification framework, or like if somebody makes the commitment to invest time, it means that it's sufficiently annoying to them that it's worth at least, building a small application around it to make them happy. Now, let's say you have like 15 of those in the wild and people are using them. What we then do is extremely simple. We look which ones of those are actually being used. Which of these mini applications, these prototypes, do receive love from our colleagues? So which ones do get feature requests? Which ones do people want little variations on, or like updated data, or like where do we get explicit requests from colleagues that it should become better somehow? And if a prototype does receive this kind of love, we make larger investment decisions. And then we turn from prototypes into what we call internally our flagship applications. And then we get external development studios on board. We put more time from the AI lab onto this. And at the same time, we produce more prototypes. So it's kind of this kind of the lottery approach. We treat each prototype as a lottery ticket. We send it out into the wild. We see which ones of those prove themselves to be really valuable to colleagues, and sometimes in really unexpected ways. And the winners of this little prototyping lottery get much more it's often like completely recreated from scratch in a much better, bigger, more robust, more safe, faster, etc. way. But we don't do that initially. We first create the smallest, easiest to create, scrappy looking like version of it, and then see which of those are really in demand by colleagues. This is just to show you how scrappy these prototypes can be. This is just a screenshot of the first search tool that you could use to find fellows in our global database. Now, and this is actually how the app looked. Like it was this code environment. Yeah? It did everything we wanted. So you could find, if you were looking for 10 social entrepreneurs in Europe who are tackling climate preparedness from an intersectional perspective, you can use the tool and find them and get nice summaries about them, and like all great. But of course, like no colleague can use this. Like the code would freak them out. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. So we had the capability of running these searches and these analysis. And so through word of mouth, like over the course of a few months, we had like 200 manual requests to use this application to run searches and analysis. And that means, in our logic, that this little prototype got a lot of love. Like people wanted to use it. It wasn't available to them directly, but it was clear that it was worth two colleagues sending an email asking us to use it and send them back the results via email. And so that means that it's worth turning this monster of a thing into something that's properly usable and nice looking and like a little bit fancy. And this is what it now looks like. Any colleague can go to the Ashoka intranet, log in, and have access to the Fellow Explorer with a lot of extra capabilities and filters and what. But the point is not building this thing first. If we had set out to build this thing first, we wouldn't have known what it should look like. It was these 200 manual requests that we got that told us how it should look like. And that based on that, we knew, okay, this app needs to be able to run, like to perform a benchmark analysis for new fellow candidates. It needs to find potential collaboration partners for fellows within the global fellowship. There must be a journalism mode because we get like requests from journalists all the time, like, can you find me social entrepreneurs who do X, Y, Z for this kind of story? And so it became an explicit version of this application in the app. And yeah, and so this is how you then turn a prototype that received a lot of love into a flagship application that creates a lot of business value on an ongoing basis for the entire organization. One comment, because you might be asking yourself at this point, well, that's all well and good, but it does require a few people who know, like, who can build this, like this ugly coding stuff. So who in our organization might be able to do this? And here's a word of caution. Don't necessarily look immediately at your IT department. I have nothing against IT departments. Again, one of the 5 pillars of AI readiness is the IT infrastructure that you need to run your AI applications on. So these are really important partners that must be involved in your AI adoption journey, but they might not like essentially what we recommend is to differentiate between maintenance IT and innovation IT. And the two operate under very different like follow different principles, and they should ideally not be the same people and the same teams. Um, Maintenance IT's job is to make sure that the devices work, that everybody has access to their email accounts and Outlook programs, that our website is working, that our Salesforce doesn't break down, that the basics are in place so we can work. And their incentives are to avoid risks, to focus on robustness and stability, and scalability. And that makes a lot of sense because that's what's needed from them. But what we are doing here is more like bottom-up exploration and innovation. And for that, you can't really look at robustness initially and scalability. These things are just in your way. They take too much time. They make you jump in this kind of funnel to the investment stage immediately when you haven't really validated yet whether an AI tool, a prototype, receives enough love to justify this kind of investment. And so for this kind of innovation IT, you need different principles, different people, different incentives, different ways of promoting people. Like everything should essentially be different. And the fact that both of these teams are working with computers and code should not let you to believe that they should be in the same department even. Like it's just a different mindsets, different tasks, different structures. All right. Now, where are we right now? At this point, Ashoka has now, it's already outdated again. I think we're closer to 30 apps at this point. Many of them are only small and helping only a few teams. Like the uh, the members of European Parliament detective, for example, is only helping our policy team in Brussels. It finds out which of the hundreds of members of parliament in Brussels are your most likely allies for advocacy initiatives. Nobody else cares, but for them, it's nice. Then there are applications that help quite a few teams. There is, for example, the Venture Copilot that helps our venture teams who are looking for new fellows that Ashoka could um, elect into its global fellowship and write like all the documentation for the internal process for them, and identify open questions that still need to be answered and facts that still need to be double checked and these kinds of things. So that is helpful for quite a few teams. And then there are like these flagship applications that are helpful to almost anybody, like the fellow explorer that I just mentioned. There's also Ashoka, a few others, the truffle pick in the bottom left-hand corner. Like the specifics don't matter. The point is that there are like at this point 3-4 larger applications that are based on prototypes that received so much love that we decided to put quite a bit of effort and also money and resources into them to develop them further. Where are we right now? At this point, we based on usage data and a few like small models on how long tasks used to take before AI was here to help us. We estimate that these tools are saving Ashoka about like 6 to 8 full-time equivalents worth of time at any time, and we are aiming for this number to increase to about 10 full-time equivalents by the end of 2025. We believe that we will get there even if we stop working at this point. It's just that like when you have a new tool, not everybody knows about it immediately. It has to spread. So like just the existing tools being used more by more people and more often by the same people will probably get us to this number. But it's like this is the kind of impact you can expect to have, at least for this kind of like global 400 people organization after a few years. Probably if you start now as opposed to 3 years ago, you will hit these numbers much faster because there's already much more awareness of how powerful AI can be, how time saving it can be. And also the tools for building all these applications are so much better now compared to 3 years ago. So chances are that, yeah, you can you can make significant efficiency gains even within a few months if you take it seriously. We still haven't made even a single application available to anybody outside of Ashoka because we are just not ready yet. So even after this time and even after these like all these apps and all this experience, it's just not the same thing. So we are currently preparing to making the Fellow Explorer, our like general search and analytics platform for fellow data, available to our fellows, but only to the fellows, like not to the general public. And even that will take a few more months to be ready. But yeah, we are very much looking forward to that because at that point, fellows will be able to themselves find collaboration partners for their initiatives and things like that. And we are currently building our most complicated project yet, both from a legal and a technical perspective, which is a comprehensive system for updating our fellow information. So to have updated information on all 4,000, which would make all of our other applications much more useful. But this is something that, like even a year ago, we would not have touched. It's just the amount of data that needs to be processed in a secure and robust way is just too large, and too many questions are there, and we didn't really know yet what this means from an EU AI Act perspective. So like we didn't touch it, but now we feel ready to tackle these more ambitious projects. One last tip: if you start doing this kind of job, or if you, from a management perspective, if you want to build this kind of team, or give a mandate to a few tinkerers, like not taking yourself too seriously can help. Like this is, so we use like it's of course still it's a business environment, so you can't overdo it, but like we have, for example, an application that makes fun of our internal Ashoka jargon. So you can type in any normal English language like sentence, and it translates it into like a super exaggerated way of internal speech. We have these little tinkering garage space backgrounds we run when we have new tools. We don't just have like a tool introduction session. We have like these little circus shows with music and interactive sessions and fun exercises for people, and we have anyway. So like you can since this is an exercise in bottom-up exploration and innovation, many things will just not work, and it's also technical. So you must lower the barrier for people to get in touch with you and want to interact with you. And by having this kind of communication style, you're subtly like indicating to people that it's going to be fine. Like we'll have some fun. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Nobody's head will be cut off. Like let's just play essentially, and moving a little bit away from the more traditional, like super professional, formal stuff can be helpful here to get this message across. So to sum up, less talk, more tinkering. Even if you don't yet have a mandate, just start building things. Especially for the intrapreneurs, don't wait for a strategy, like signed and named by the wise global CEO. Like just build stuff to then make that strategy possible in the future. Don't ignore the conscious and conscious tinkering, meaning don't build the fanciest thing that comes to mind. Pay respects to your current capabilities. If you don't yet have a legal department that knows their way around GDPR, don't play with sensitive personal information, these kinds of things. Huh? And finally, have fun, deviate a little bit from the formal work environment communication practices to indicate to your colleagues, to your co-creators, that it's going to be fun, that it's worthwhile, that even if it doesn't work out in the end, it was worth it to try, and these kinds of That's it from me. I believe we have about 10 minutes for questions and answers, and I'm happy to respond to whatever comes to mind for you. And Jen, can you do the moderation and look at the chat and maybe see which ones received?
Yeah, happy to. There's been some great questions. I see some new ones getting added. So we'll start with the one that I think was most upvoted. If October 2025 was the Odin goes rogue moment and the last 3 years of journey had not happened, i.e. Ashoka staff were still working like they used to, how much faster do you think Ashoka could get to where you are today?
If like if Rogue Odin had the experience he already has now much faster, that would of course be cheating though. So let's say I only did it now. I mean, I would hope that in an environment like Ashoka, somebody else would have done something similar in the meantime. But okay, like I get the premise. Yeah? I think you could maybe get get there 30 to 40% faster, and that is simply based on how much easier the like how many more resources are available for these 5 pillars of AI readiness. So the legal and ethical guidelines, creating them, getting your legal teams up to speed, much easier if you use external providers. There are many more. It's cheaper now. People know what's happening, what you have to look out for. For data management, similarly, for the tinkering. I mean, wow, like creating AI applications today. I mean, even 3 years ago, it was much nicer than 10 years ago, but now it's such a breeze. It's so fun. Like you don't write lines of code anymore. You just tell the AI what you want and you just look, and sometimes you give a comment like, nah, this is a bit this is a bit weird, do this again. But like that's coding today. It's just amazing. So like on all of these 5 dimensions, it's the world has evolved. Things are easier now. So yeah, my guess would be 30 to 40% faster.
That's incredible. That's a great that's a great improvement and shows how far we've come, how far AI has come. There was a follow-up to that question that I thought was great. Are there things you would do differently? Assuming you had that experience and all those 3 years of learnings, are there things you would do differently this time around?
Yeah. We uh, it took us, I think, too long to get the first applications into the hands of colleagues directly. And we made a few tactical mistakes on that journey. We believe that as long as they are available somehow, it can be through like a human email interface, yeah, it's going to be fine. But I would do that differently today. I would immediately, and that's of course how we do prototypes today. We would never hide a capability behind an email interface anymore. Of course, everything would be immediately with the user interface on our servers, but these things didn't exist back then, right? So you had to improvise, but we improvised in a way that I would do differently today. I would maybe put things on external servers rather than waiting for our IT departments to put a proper solution in place. Because again, of course, they're looking for the proper solution, but the proper solution takes too much time. So like, just find another way to do it. Yeah. Um, and just don't do put sensitive things on that improper solution, obviously. Like hear what their voice and anxieties are and work around them. But like we instead waited for them to put the proper solution in place. Like no, like whenever you hear best practice, dangerous, not scalable, you just ignore those things, and that would have saved us a ton of time.
Yeah, that's a great point and a great learning that I think folks can take away from this session. I loved this question. As a small nonprofit, what are your recommendations to begin building out a team or having one person kind of start tinkering?
Mhm. Yeah, especially for smaller or like 10 or smaller, you might not have the whole economics change, right? So if you have our AI lab has two people full time, and so as long as the stuff that we are building improves the efficiency of everybody else by like 0.5%, we are good. But of course, if you have a small team, then your one tinkerer must make everybody else 10% more efficient to be worth it. And so it does make things more difficult. But um, what you can definitely still do is explore all the existing tools that you can just use out of the box as a service model, or focus only on the tasks that really take a lot of time for your team. And then what I would recommend is if you don't have a dedicated coder, like first ask, has anybody ever seen a line of code or written a line of code? If anybody raises their hand, that's your person. It doesn't matter which programming language, when they did it, what they did with it, because today you don't need to code anymore to create proper, at least prototypes, not fully developed applications. We're not quite there yet. AI cannot do that by itself, but at least the prototypes, that person is your person. If you don't have that, if nobody raises their hand for the have you ever written a line of code, ask who has ever done a nested formula in Excel, and that is still enough, because that person will have no trouble understanding what the AI has been doing in the code if you just ask the AI how it worked. So like your most sophisticated Excel user is your person.
I love that. And I
And
love the
then,
parallel
so
to
then you
Excel.
have them, but then you need to encourage them. That's the next part. So like if you have intrapreneurial environment or like a rogue Odin, you are fine because they will just not ask for permission. But like if you don't by any for whatever reason, just tell them it's fine. Like tell them to fail 3 times in the next 3 months, or like to as long as you're like build. Don't worry about anything else. You just get into the habit of building and going through the prototype, improving AI readiness, creating momentum cycle. Even if each cycle fails, it's still worth it because you establish this process, and the process will give you results at some point.
I loved you made a comment earlier about gaining momentum. And I think that's such a powerful takeaway for me from your session of continuing to try and iterate and letting that momentum build so that when you are ready to start deploying more complex or more broadly reaching solutions, you've got some expertise and some practice. That's fantastic. And that really speaks to another question we received, which was, did you have AI education or training happening for staff, or was it mostly learning by doing and tinkering? How did you approach that?
Um, we do a few things. So we have some basic security trainings that are mandatory for all members of staff, but that's like, it's a little, we have this provider, it's not Ashoka specific, but it's this little crime story, and they have like this animated it's fun, it's okay, but like it only covers the security basics. Then we do, as an AI lab, we do these circus sessions where we introduce our tools and how to use them responsibly, and what to do, what not to do with them. Okay. And then we are now looking for providers to help us with more general, like technical understanding of it, because it will just be a core competency moving forward. I think but this is not Ashoka specific. It's not social sector specific. This is something that every organization now has to do. And we are currently exploring like potential partners for doing this more efficiently with. It's just we can't create all these materials ourselves. It wouldn't be the best use of our time. So just as anybody else, we are looking for partners right now. And of course, there are the co-creators of all the applications that we created. And those people have, like, they still need to be trained on the security and technical basics as everybody else, but they have a specific additional skill or experience, which is they know how to communicate with the technical people to get a tool that they really want. And those people are really valuable. So like when you think about trainings, don't just don't just try to fulfill the requirements of the AI Act or whatever. Yeah. Think what do you actually want to have in terms of mental models and behaviors in your organization to help you with your AI adoption journey. If this is being seen as a bureaucratic requirement and a mandatory training, yeah, good luck getting people excited about building things. But if you say you all get 1 week off in the next year, like you don't get a week off, we ask you to spend 1 week to create a tool, anything that's useful to you. But like that's the best training. Like people will learn way more and get more excited, and you even get lots of little tools out of it that you can then maybe spread to other teams.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice, and I think speaks to what you've been covering today. I have a question actually that's informed by our previous session, but you had mentioned in your timeline that eventually, when you had about 7 prototypes, I think your board got involved, or you had to actually involve the board and have that conversation. We just had a session about making the case for AI to board members, and so I'm curious what that experience was like for you all, and how you brought them along on that journey.
Yeah. So it was scary in the sense that, I mean, in other you can get fired for that kind of stuff, right? So I basically had to admit that I was ignoring my job description. That's not typically what you do when you present to a board. So, but okay. Apart from that, um, we only had prototypes, right? So remember, like all we could show were these non-usable pieces of code. So like it's so you and but that's good. Like if you when you show a prototype, you must be embarrassed. Because otherwise you have already invested too much time. Like it can't look good. But like presenting something that by design is not looking good to a board, that's okay, but you get used to it. Yeah. And the good thing is that, of course, as an organization that promotes social entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, any kind of risk you take, anything you try out is met with a lot of goodwill. And so, um, at least for us, it was a very nice experience, very encouraging. And as I said, a few weeks later, we had our official AI lab. So all good. Yeah.
Oh, incredible. Well, I'm glad that was a positive experience, even if it felt a little bit uncertain going into that conversation. But I think that's a great example and a great point for us to end on today. Thank you so much, Odin. Thank you so much for being part of our summit and sharing this conscious tinkering approach. I think this is so important, especially as we talked about for small organizations who are learning, folks who are learning by doing. And I think approaching all of this with curiosity and a willingness to learn from mistakes and learn from usage and all of that. So thank you so much, Odin. We will see you, I believe, in the lounge shortly. Odin is sticking around with all of us to be able to answer any further questions you have about conscious tinkering, prototyping, or really cultures of AI innovation. So Odin will be in the lounge. It's called Extended Q&A, Conscious Tinkering, Improve Your AI Readiness, and I'll go over with folks about how to access the lounge shortly. Thanks again, Odin.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye. All right. Well, as you might expect, I'm very interested to know what you all think about the session that we just had. I love what Odin was covering, and I hope you did too. I think we've seen a lot of great feedback so far. So take a moment, let us know what was most interesting to you, what you still want to learn. Thought that this really covered an interesting perspective on fundraising, responsible AI and fundraising, and would love to hear what you think too. As promised, I want to make sure I cover the extended Q&A Conscious Tinkering Lounge that's going to be happening shortly. All you need to do is navigate to the lounge. You'll get a chance to chat with Odin in a small group setting. You can, leave your video and camera off if you just want to observe. You're also welcome to turn those things on and engage directly with Odin for any questions you have. So head on over. I'll walk through how to do that in case you're not already familiar. The easiest way is to go back from this session into the reception area, go to Lounge at the top of the screen, and scroll to find Extended Q&A Conscious Tinkering. I like to do a little Command F, Control F, depending on what system you're using, but that helps me navigate the list of lounges really quickly. So on that front, or on that note, I want to talk about other ways you can continue to learn with fundraising AI today. As you know, we have our Summit Plus program, which includes an AI capability immersion for 3 weeks. That's going to take what you learned over these 2 days and really help you learn how to apply it in your day-to-day work. The AI capability immersion also includes tools, workflows, and prompts that'll help you save hours and spark creativity. And we also get access to 12 months of Spark sessions, a living resource pack, and a Mission First AI community where you can learn with a cohort of peers. And we always find and advocate for learning in community because that really helps things stick. And I think helps all of us feel supported in our AI adoption journeys. So Summit Plus, it's a $5,000 value, and Summit attendees will only pay $665 for this incredible program. So if you're curious, if you want to learn more, check us out and use the discount code FAI Summit to learn more or to get your special access. Another thing the Play folks are doing, if you're not sure about Summit Plus, if you want to hear a little bit more about what's on offer, we are hosting a whole stage of Spark sessions. So these are opportunities for you to jump into some really hot topics with experts, with your peers, and really learn about in bite-sized sessions, different approaches. So right now we have coming up the bold, the brave, the blindfolded, how nonprofit leaders are really facing AI. So check that out. We'd love to see you there. And those are going to be running throughout the rest of the day. So if you can't join right now, feel free to join later. Another shout out to our incredible sponsors. If you're enjoying the content that we have today, if you're enjoying the sessions and the speakers, these folks are making it possible for us to bring everyone together. As I've mentioned in a couple other sessions and on this stage, a lot of these speakers are folks who you go to a conference and pay X amount of dollars to go see live in person. We're so grateful to bring them together on a virtual stage to make this as accessible as possible, have this fit within your schedule, share recordings, just make it really, make all this content and knowledge really available, and it wouldn't be possible without the folks on this slide. So huge thank you to our sponsor community for making all of this work possible. And I'm going to call out especially our presenting partners, Giving Tuesday and Virtuous. You know you love Giving Tuesday. They're making generosity, inspiring and generosity every day, everywhere. And then also our partners at Virtuous. They're a responsive fundraising platform that helps you build meaningful supporter connections and amplify your impact. Their partnership, again, ensures that all of this content is free and that we are able to support Fundraising AI's content resources, educational resources throughout the rest of the year. So if you ever see a report from us, like our donor perception survey that's coming out shortly, or a webinar with us and our partners or anything like that, that is made possible in large part by our supporters, our sponsors, and Virtuous and Giving Tuesday's leadership. I really also want to call out another sponsor who makes this work incredibly possible, but also incredibly valuable, hopefully for all of you. GoFundMe Pro is the next evolution in nonprofit fundraising. They combine powerful, flexible software with the scale and intelligence of the world's largest fundraising platform. Designed to help organizations fundraise in any way they want, wherever they want, GoFundMe Pro unlocks new opportunities to inspire giving, reach broader audiences, and drive greater impact. They're backed by $40 billion of giving since 2010. They're helping drive innovation in the sector with AI-powered tools built from unmatched data and insights. Learn more at pro.gofundme.com and request a demo today.
With GoFundMe Pro, your nonprofit can reach every single supporter, everywhere they go. Like on your website, for starters. Or a campaign page designed just the way you want. Or a partner site. You can show intelligent ask amounts for this errand, and that errand. And every errand out there. You can fundraise at a gala, even a gala. Whoa. With live fundraising tools, you can show up in the golden hills of Friscara. Or you can fundraise on Facebook or Instagram, including Grandma's Gram. And since she loves your nonprofit so much, she can make a peer-to-peer fundraiser for you. Thanks, Grandma. With GoFundMe's powerful platform and community of 190 million, you can fundraise here, there, and everywhere. Yep, here too. That's GoFundMe Pro.
Amazing. I also want to mention that nonprofits are using GoFundMe to reach 200 million supporters. You can claim your nonprofit page today. That'll help you expand your reach, build donor trust, and grow your impact. When you claim your page today, you'll also be entered to win a GoFundMe Pro swag box. So we are amplifying the giveaways at the summit on day 2, and you have an opportunity to actually go learn more about GoFundMe and win a chance to win a swag box, which we always love. So check out a little bit more about the Claim Your Nonprofit page opportunity through the link on the screen right now, and enjoy learning more about GoFundMe Pro. They're fantastic and have been longtime supporters of our work at Fundraising AI.
I'll have a vanilla latte, please.
All right, coming right up. Here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vanilla latte, please. Hi, can we get
Vanilla latte?
Thank you.
Just like how a good barista learns your coffee order, Intelligent Ask Amounts learns and predicts how much a donor wants to give. That way, you can make a personalized ask for each donor on your website.
Do you want to upgrade to a large today?
That'd be great.
Incredible. As I said, take the time to check out your nonprofit page And I'm also going to go ahead and call out one of our community sponsors and media partners, the Nonprofit Times. This is the leading business publication for nonprofit management. Published in April 1987 for the first time. Since then, the Nonprofit Times has won dozens of reporting and commentary awards from organizations such as the Society of Professional Journalists. Subscribe today to stay ahead with the latest nonprofit management insights. All right, well, we are ready to wrap this session and move on to the next one. There are some fantastic sessions coming up as usual. On the Amplify stage, we are talking about AI-powered nonprofit organization design and how AI agents can transform how work gets done. On the innovation stage, we're talking about how to use creative AI prompts to drive donor engagement. And on the impact stage, right here, we'll be covering what fundraisers must know about AI equity trends and truths. So we would love to see you here. Please note that the Amplify stage session on AI-powered nonprofit organization design is CFRE eligible. So use the tracker if you'd like to attend that and continue your professional development credits. We'd love to see you there. All right, and then the last thing here that we'll cover really quickly that hopefully you know by heart is how to navigate